So you can see I've gotten those bushes in the background a little bit organized. It's looking a little better now. Next I'm going to work on, I guess those, I don't know, the rocks in the distance or the rocks on the left hand side. These two trees on the left hand side I'm not too fond of. We'll put it this way, what I'm seeing is I sort of get the feeling that this is going to become more squat than I want it to be, just a little too broad on the bottom. This on the bottom as well. I'm not sure. Once there's a design in here, it won't appear so fat. I had kind of thought that I liked this rocky structure to come down all the way, which is why I added this line later. With the way things are going now, I think I'm going to remove it. I think I'm going to have this be the top of this little knob of rock that comes in from the left. But these trees, I'm finding them a little confusing. What I'm going to do I'm seeing these two shapes which are well defined, the outside edges, but then I've got all these little squiggly lines inside, and my mind can't latch on to any of them and say, ooh, I can work from that, I like that, aside from maybe this bit of trunk indicated here. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to try out a brush here, bit of ultramarine blue, bit of yellow ochre, because I don't want it to be as dark, quite as dark as these outlines. But I'm finding it a bit distracting the way it sits right now. So we'll just do a little cheat here. And darken it. Darken them, I should say. Somehow it just helps. Doing this can help me to redesign the space inside the outline, because I don't have so many lines suggesting possibly stuff that I don't want in there. I'm even going to get rid of that little bit of trunk there. I'll mix up a little more of that. And I am using paint thinner again. Just sort of putting a darker wash in over my wash in, so to speak. Yeah, I think I'll even do that. Okay, so you see what I mean? It's less of a distraction now. I can let that dry while I work elsewhere, and I can get back to thinking about those later. I could save those right to the end of the painting. It's not a problem. Well, work on these rocks across here a little bit. I've mixed a bit of cobalt blue and raw umber and alizarin crimson for our shadow side. Okay. A little more of that. A little more of that on the edge here. This is 2 days later now, so now is when my temptation is, because I'm painting smaller objects, to get a little too tight. So I need to kind of balance it. I want the form of those rocks showing, but I don't want to put too much detail in there. Little yellow ochre with a bit of raw umber, sort of a mid-tone. Remember, our light's coming from the left. And to keep it interesting, we're going to have some light splashing across these rocks. Don't want to get too strong. And while we're laying those strokes in, we're also forming the rock shapes. Okay. Oh, I think I'm gonna step it up One notch. Oops, that's not enough. I have 1, 2, 3. I think I would like to join these two rocks with something a little more interesting. Maybe that's enough right there. Okay. And I'm going to imagine these two little bits of, old stumps, old trunks that are just sort of standing ahead of the bush. Gives this area a little more interest, a little more shape. I think that I will use some red sienna. Whoops. I don't know where I got that from. Gotta be careful of those things because your hands will end up covered with oil paint. From one little speck of it, it's like ink. Okay. I've gone upstairs after painting for a while and looked in the mirror, and I've got strange smudges all over my face, and I never did figure out where it came from. Which tube was leaking or cracked, or where I happened to touch the handle of my knife into a pile of color in the wrong place. And of course, it's just, it's quite natural for a person to touch their own face a fair bit as well. Here's this burnt sienna. I'm going to use a bit of that because we are in that focal area. We'll keep things strong. Keep them strong and somewhat interesting. And where the light is not directly catching those trunks on the shady side, I'm just going to put a hint of ultramarine blue so tempting to keep playing, you know, it always is. And it's just the wrong thing to do as I keep playing. Okay. I think I'm going to lay one sliver of light across the top of the rock like so. That can help to justify how high the value is on these two little bits of stump. Now, I don't need that sitting there. I don't need that sitting there. And I shouldn't worry too much about anything else. Okay, I have a bit of a ridge there. Good enough. Now, we have light from the left, a breeze from the left. I will put in a bit of water here. And that water, as much as I'd like to make it green or blue, is going to pick up these colors a little bit. Okay. Couple of strokes to establish my hues and values. Okay, I think that's not too bad. I would prefer to get the water right first time so that some of this tooth shows through, allowing a bit of texture. That way at least there's a bit more of a variety of texture between the rocks and the water directly below it. Will it happen? I don't know. I was just talking about my preference, not reality. So I'm not loading the knife up with very much paint at this point. I want to, well, that's how I hopefully can allow some of that texture to show through. Scraping off the extra. too generous on my blade there. If it happens, it's not a big deal. It's just, you know. Okay, I might have gotten too fussy already with these rocks, but I'll back up and get a handle on that. See what we think. I'm cleaning my pile of paint off my palette right now because I like to refresh it. Seems like a waste of paint, but it only takes a few strokes before you've overmixed the pile on your palette, and then your paint goes flat. It just goes dead looking. You know, I kind of like what's going on with the water here. So maybe I'll just continue down a little bit. A little bit, maybe to about here. Anyway, let's put some paint on. Let's just have a look, see how this goes. And as we come down, as we come closer to us, you know, it's ripply water, there's texture on the surface, so I'm not too worried about even catching too many reflections. But I think this will be a darker mass, and a little bit of that shadow will be spilling out onto the water a little bit. So I'll just have a little, let's see here, if I add a little bit of I'm taking yellow ochre, alizarin crimson, and I've added a little bit of ultramarine blue to it, just to indicate a bit of dark there, you know. A bit of the actual watercolor might be showing there, just a hint of it. Okay, now I'm going to get rid of that. I think my value might be a little low. Okay, not going to worry about that. Not going to worry about getting too fussy on that yet. I'm guessing it's possible I should have gone to purple. Okay? Yep, I stopped guessing. So I am going to lay purple in there. That's a bit too much of a color change. It doesn't look very shadowy. If I put just a hint of purple in there, might look a little more plausible. We'll see. I might have screwed that up again. And that's okay. These things are fixable. Okay, back to our picking up some of the sky colors. Going to drop our values a little bit as we come closer, except for the odd bit of wave. I'm playing with yellow ochre. Burnt sienna. I think I'm going to end that line around there. Something like that. Okay. More yellow ochre, alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue. Did I just say burnt sienna when I was meaning ultramarine blue back here? I don't know. Okay, let's cut into this rock here. I'm going to be more generous with color again. Or more generous with volume of paint, rather, I should say. And, you know, you can, when you're putting waves or wavelets in your water, you can just go ahead and make your knife strokes or your brush strokes the shape of waves, you know. What you can also do is just lay your colors in generally where you want your values to be. You know, assess your values as you go. Like, I know my values are going to drop as I go to the left and go down. And then later, after I have it colored in, so to speak, I can take some highlights, you know. I can take a bit of yellow ochre and white, and maybe a yellow ochre white and a bit of alizarin crimson, and I can even just lay in a few highlights here and there, just to indicate that there are some waves. In this case, I don't know, I'm tempted to have, you know, as I've done, I think I did a video a little while back called Indexing the Water, and what I did is I put in reference lines dropping as I went, as I came closer. I changed the angle of the line, so to speak. Whoops, there I go again, painting, finger painting. You know, as I came closer to indicate that you know, the waves were coming from the left and moving to the right. I'm not going to do that in this case. I may just have the texture appear to be doing this right from where we are to off into the distance a little bit, or up to the shore. Don't know. I don't have to know. Because right now we are playing. It's a little too far down the value scale for me, actually. Put that over there, scrape it off there, put it over there, replace it with some of this. Again, I'm intentionally trying to avoid getting too tight. Oh yeah, intentionally trying to avoid getting too tight, instead of unintentionally trying. How do you unintentionally try something? I don't know. Maybe it's more subliminal. Subliminal. I know every knife stroke here is not the direction I want it in, but that's okay. I will play with that. So we're picking up a mixture, you know, ambient reflection, sky colors, bush colors. We're gonna fade, I think, a little bit bluish over here. I don't want to go quite green. I just would prefer to go a little bit bluish. Am I going off? No, I'm still on the camera. Okay, that's as far as I'll go for the moment. That way. And what if I just go quite purple here? Okay. I'll just put in a little bit of a line here. Okay, well that's just the start of things, but can you see though how I've not worried too much about my strokes? Mostly I've done vertical strokes and then put a lighter slash horizontally against it, and suddenly from something that was just sort of, I don't know, didn't have too much form, suddenly to me, to my eye, putting this slash across here raised the plane of the water from this up to this. Because now we have something on, we have a surface that's picking up a bit of light from above. Anyway, that's a start. We'll leave it at that for the moment.